This is Brannon House Live. Whether the issue is law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, government, or national security, Brannon brings the issues of the day into clear focus through the lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon House.
And welcome to the broadcast on this December, I got to check, what is it? December 12th, Friday, December 12th, 2025. Oh my, there is so much in the news tonight, is there not, my friend? We're going to have on Patrick Wood because we have a lot to talk about. How about this right here? Joe Allen, our buddy Joe Allen, who's going to come back on the broadcast in January. He promised, he's buried right now, but he promised supreme intelligence, Donald Trump calls it. Supreme intelligence. No, we don't want to call it artificial intelligence. Call it supreme intelligence. I don't know. That sounds a little extreme to me because, we know what is real supreme intelligence, right? It's not AI. What else do we have here tonight we can talk about? Let's see. I got so much stuff. Oh, we'll play this. Here's a video of, what's his name? Jeffrey Sachs talking about robots are going to take over, will be basically paradise on earth, kind of back to the Garden of Eden, and we can sit in the coffee shops and be served our favorite coffee by robots. Well, let's talk about robots. Let's talk about robots taking jobs. Apparently, McDonald's has gone to its first fully 100% automated store. We'll look at that, talk about that. Because we had an executive order signed yesterday by President Trump that has upset a lot of people, a lot of conservatives, because it's the executive order saying that states can't come in and tell the data centers, the tech pros, what they can and cannot do when it comes to AI in their own states. And Governor DeSantis of Florida, Huckabee, Sarah Sanders Huckabee of Arkansas, others are not happy about this at all. We'll talk about that. While Ted Cruz says he doesn't want China to win the AI race. Really, Ted? Really, Ted? Because the last I checked, here's an Associated Press article where Trump approves the sale of more advanced NVIDIA computer chips in AI to China. Well, if you don't want AI to be the race to be beat by China, then maybe don't sell them our chips. But I don't think this is about a race. I think that's all a lot of brainwashing and smoke and mirrors. I don't think there's a race. I think there is a coordinated global plan and agreement. I really do. I think there's a global coordinated plan and agreement for how these countries are going to implement what is really the Great Reset. I think that's what's going on here. So I'm not buying the whole narrative they're pushing. Really not. Then we have, of course, the concern about NATO. The NATO chief, he's come out and he said this. NATO chief says Europe is Russia's next target and contingent must be prepared for world war. This is not an old article. This is a new article, December 11th, yesterday. And we saw the video. It's out there on social media of the Secretary General talking about this. Apparently, these guys really want to go to war. They seem to have every reason to want to go to war and get people's kids killed. But of course, I guess if your economy is I've said it before, I'll say it again. I guess if your economy is collapsing, war checks all the boxes. War checks all the boxes. And of course, it's great for the depopulation plan as well, right? It's great for the depopulation plan as well. Let's see. So we're going to talk about that. What else are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to have on Congressman Glenn Grothman. I recorded an interview with him earlier today. I played some of the clips for radio because with him, we talked about striking the boats off the coast of Venezuela. We talked about legislation he's working on, I think also with Marjorie Taylor Greene, when it comes to transgender surgeries for children. We asked him about the $800 million Congress just agreed to give to Ukraine. We talked about central bank digital currencies. What else did we talk about, Logan? I mean, we talked about so much stuff, it's hard to remember. But we'll get to that with him. Let's see, what else do we have? Can I play this video? I don't know if will it play? This is the, I don't know, internet's acting really weird out here tonight, Logan. Nothing's loading. Nothing's loading like it should. Visit the page. I want to play a clip, but the internet's not behaving. I wanted to play a clip. Maybe you can get it, Logan. The clip of the NATO chief telling everybody to prepare for war. They keep saying this. They keep telling us to prepare for war. I mean, again, these guys want war. So why are we shocked? Logan's going to get the clip. Because everything here is frozen up for me, dog. Don't you just hate computers? Hate them. All right, roll it, Logie.
We need to be ready. Because at the end of this first quarter of the 21st century, conflicts are no longer fought at arm's length. Conflict is at our door. Russia has brought war back to Europe. And we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured. Imagine it. A conflict reaching every home, every workplace. Destruction, mass mobilization, millions displaced. Widespread suffering and extreme losses. It is a terrible thought. But if we deliver on our commitments, this is a tragedy we can prevent. NATO is here to protect 1 billion people on both sides of the Atlantic. Our mission is to protect you, your families, your friends, and your future. We cannot let down our guard, and we won't. I count on
All right,
our
well, that's
governments.
enough of that. Thank you, Logan. Wow, if those are the guys protecting you in Europe, you're in big trouble. But again, they clearly want war. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Before we go to Patrick Wood, play a lot of video clips because a lot of conservatives are very concerned right now about this whole AI thing and the executive orders about basically stripping states of their constitutional rights to make sure we don't have social credit scores, central bank digital currencies, collecting our data, AI teaching your kids who knows what. We're going to get into that tonight and a lot more. I also have a clip between Joe Rogan and Elon Musk. Elon's basically saying you better make sure your kids know how to do carpentry, plumbing, HVAC, all that kind of stuff, because pretty much every other job's going to go bye-bye. And that's where, again, we play the Jeffrey Sachs guy, who I think is tied back to Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, saying, yeah, we're going to have utopia like paradise. Sitting in the coffee shop being served our latte by a robot. I don't think I want that. Let's talk about the essence of work. What does the Bible say about work? What does God say in his word about work? Why is our whole economic system based on work? Why is this dangerous? Yeah, I'm for technology. I want to use technology, but there has to be a place where the government is, well, doing what it's supposed to do. Reward the righteous, punish the wicked. Too little government's a bad thing. Too much government's a bad thing. You got to be in the middle, but you got to protect the civil rights of people. And I think the concept, God-given, ordained concept of work, of which our free market system is based. And the government should make for a stable and just society that maintains civil liberties and civil rights based on the God-ordained function of work. So how do we thread that needle? I want to have that conversation tonight with Patrick Wood. But before I do, I'm about to enjoy some phytoplankton to be precise. Phytoplankton, Gatatana, Melissa House, GPA.com. That's it. Melissa House, GPA.com. One scoop is the equivalent of 90 billion plant cells. There's some serious studies done on this. Dolly gets a half a scoop on her food every day, as you know. There's the cat that had the tumor in its eye. 3 weeks later, hello, tumor gone. I'm not making claims. I'm just reporting. Remember, the guy who came up with this was diagnosed, a terminal diagnosis, started eating the phytoplankton he was raising for his starfish or crayfish, went in for an autopsy. All 11 biopsies were benign, lived another 10 years. Not making claims, just reporting. It's out there. You can find his own words. His daughter and him did a whole video on it. So out of that was born this Global Plankton Alliance. Now, my hair growth, as you know, I'm pretty happy about that. Talk enough about it. Melissa today was saying, Brandon, the hair has really grown in on your widow's peak. I was showing her how my hair is now growing down here again. It's coming down. It's growing down. But look at the hair, my widow peaks. Go look at pictures and broadcasts from 2021, 2022, early 2023. She's like, it's crazy. I'm like, I know. It's like we're aging backwards. And I really think it is the Bella Grace with the collagen, but I think it's also this as well, because this gets to the cellular level to feed you at the cellular level to boost your immune system and your good health all around. I think it's a combination of things. I think it's the combination of my Bella Grace, my Numi, which detoxes my cells, gets rid of toxins, and my Gatatana. These three things I do every day. These three right here. I think it's all connected. I think I'm aging backwards. I'm not kidding. You go look at some of the pictures. I saw some pictures the other day from a couple years ago, and some of my family were commenting on them. We were going through a bunch of old family albums over the Thanksgiving break, and a couple family members said, you look younger now than you did then. And I'm like, I have to agree with you. And the only thing I've done is the Bella Grace, the Gatatana, and the glutathione in the Numi. So I'm just telling you, it works for me. I love it. And if you do it, I think you get a lot of benefits. And you're supporting us with each purchase at the same time. Support your health and us at the same time. There you go. All right. I already mentioned it. I take the Bella Grace every day. That's the powerful elixir, Bella Grace. This makes for a great gift, okay? This makes for a great gift for someone. You can just simply go to melissahousebg.com. There's the elixir. Over 100 clinical trials on that now. And then, of course, you have the skincare. Melissa loves that. There's her endorsement of the skincare right there. And then you have the Bella Melts. And I am down now to 167. I don't know how far down. How much more weight do you think I should lose, Logan? Should I get down to 165 or go for 160? You'd stop at 165? All right. At my peak, I think I was 179. Hate to say it. But I'm 167 now. And so Melissa uses this, Bella Trim. She lost 3 weeks. She lost 3 pounds in the first week just taking one a day. Some people take 2 or 3 a day. Curbs your cravings, but it also stimulates your natural GLP-1 versus all the bad stuff when you do this and take those shots. You know what I'm talking about, right? This just uses all natural ingredients to stimulate your body's own natural GLP-1. So you don't feel hungry. It curbs your craving. There's all kinds of other side benefits. So check that out too, melissahousebg.com. And I've already mentioned it as well. I'll mention it again. The Numi that has the glutathione in it that detoxes your cells and helps remove mercury from your brain, according to some studies, which can help decrease your chances of dementia, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. So I swish with that. I can't swish with that on the air because you have to swish for about 3 minutes. And I don't think you want to sit here and watch me swish my Numi for 3 minutes, but I'll tell you, I do take it every day, just not on camera. But I do take the Bella Grace and I do take the Gatatana on air. You guys always see me taking that, right? So I do that. So anyway, check that all out. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Okay, real quick before we go to Patrick. The Vault. Lots and lots of you signing up for the Vault. If you are not a Vault member, you do not have access to all my books I've ever written, going back to 1990 forward. You don't have access to all my documentaries. You do not have access to what is now 35 years of radio shows, TV shows, ebooks, audiobooks, documentaries, 22 years of our keynote presentations from our Worldview weekends. I'm talking Josh McDowell, Dr. John Whitcomb, Jimmy D. Young, and the list goes on and on and on. You don't have access to all that. You don't have access to information at the click of a few buttons, and I'm talking biblical worldview information that you can trust. But if you're a member of the vault, you do, and it's a great way to support us. Now, this would make a great gift to give someone. So if you want to buy a gift for someone, just click that you want to join the vault, sign up. But if it's a gift for someone, be sure to check that box that this is a gift so that it goes through the process to get them the membership that you are buying for them. My new book on Hamas is in there. You don't need to buy it. My new book based on my documentary Siege. My new book based on my documentary Sabotage. That's all in there. My new book on the study of Revelation that took a year and a half. That commentary and study guide will be available in the new year in the vault automatically. You don't need to buy it. Then over the Christmas break, I'm going to finish up filming Brainwashed America, Part 3, the final part. Then I will take the script from Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and I will edit it and turn it into a book. And the book on Brainwashed America, 35 years of my study on brainwashing, 35 years, will be available as a book, Brainwashed America, as a book in the vault. You do not need to buy it. It'll be automatically a member available. If you have access as a member, you have access to all my books. Okay? So there you go. So please consider joining or buy it as a gift. Look at all the series we have available in the vault. Now, hopefully by the end of the year or the first of the year, finally our very, very powerful search engine will be done, where we have had our system transcribe every radio show, every TV show, every interview, every book, every documentary, everything we have ever done has been transcribed. And you're going to be able to put in there, what is the Gog-Magog war? And what will pop up will be every video clip where we've ever talked about it. Dr. Woods and I, Dr. John Whitcomb and I, Jimmy DeYoung and I, or them on their own. Video clips. All these video clips you can choose from to hear about Gog-Magog war, Ezekiel 38, 39. Then it'll provide for you audio, where on radio we talked about it. It'll provide these clips. And then it'll provide text. Here's all the written text on Gog-Magog. Or maybe you want to ask about, is baptism necessary for salvation? The answer is no, according to the Bible, because it's not by works lest any man saved. It's a gift of God. Is the sacrament of baptism important? Yeah, as a public profession of your faith, but your salvation isn't based on it. The thief on the cross never had time to get baptized. But you may have a question on that. Well, you can put it in there, and it's going to bring you where we've ever talked about it in video, audio, or text, and all the biblical information. Maybe you have a lot of questions about the book of Revelation. Maybe you have a lot of questions about the deity of Christ, how we know the Bible is true. All of these questions, maybe you have questions about communism. Maybe your young person's asking you about communism or socialism or globalism or technocracy or transhumanism. All of these questions you can put in, and it's going to bring you the video clips, the audio clips, and then the written text. It's going to be one of the most powerful biblical worldview commentaries and Bible software in the world. It's literally taken us what will be next year, 36 years to put it together. And you will not have to pay extra. If you're a Vault member, it's part of your membership. So that's coming. And believe you me, I'm more excited about it than anybody. I am more impatient that it's not ready right now than anybody, because this has been being worked on now for over a year, and I wanted it immediately. But that doesn't happen, to transcribe that many years of information and then to have the system cut it up into clips and categorize it so we can find it. It's been a very laborious, expensive process. But when it's ready, and it's very close now, it's going to blow your mind. And it's part of the vault. So please go ahead and join worldviewtube.com/vault. It makes a great gift. worldviewtube.com/vault. And then, of course, don't forget about supporting us through our foundation. Please do not forget about us in your end of the year giving. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Now more than ever, you need a network like Worldview Tube pushing out Christian worldview programming. Sunday night should be the final lesson I do, part 4, on why I'm a Christian Zionist. Then I'm going to turn that into a book. And no, you won't have to buy it. It'll be in the vault. So there you go. So if you appreciate all the free content, we need your support now. One way you can help us push it all out for free. We push it all out for free. And then 7 days later, it rolls into the vault. But we're trying to keep it out here for free. And by the way, pushing out free programming is very expensive. Our bandwidth bill is thousands and thousands of dollars a month, not to mention all the other bills we have for pushing out free programming. So the foundation helps us push out free programming to keep ministry front and center. Worldviewfoundation.com. Let's get started. Joining me now is Patrick Wood of technocracy.news. I'm going to try my very best to keep Patrick from getting his blood pressure too high. But I have a lot of video clips and a lot of news stories tonight that I think are going to have him to have to really pray hard to keep calm. Well, welcome back, Mr. Technocracy.news.
You bet.
All right. Well, here we go. Buckle in. Here's a clip from President Trump yesterday. Here we go.
Well, thank you very much. We have a big signing right now, and we have a tremendous industry where we're leading by a lot. It's the AI, artificial intelligence. I always thought it should be SI, supreme intelligence, but I guess somewhere along the line they decided on the word artificial. And
Supreme intelligence. I don't know. That sounds almost sounds blasphemous, does it not? And he signed an executive order basically saying that states can't do anything about it, data centers, everything that's going on. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, governor of Arkansas, is not standing for it. DeSantis down in Ron DeSantis,
Yes.
Governor Ron DeSantis down in Florida is not standing for it. I mean, I just have to ask myself, what is this guy doing? Midterms are coming up. He's demoralizing the base. What does he not care about the Constitution, the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution? The powers the federal government has are listed and specific, and the unlisted powers belong to the states and respective people thereof. He's going to lose this at the Supreme Court.
No kidding. You know, this is the it's flipped on you, but this is the essence of my book, The Final Betrayal. You know, this is a betrayal of the American public, all of them, not just conservatives or MAGA or the populace, whatever. All Americans are at this point are being betrayed by this whole thing.
And I don't want to sit here and report this. I do not want to sit here and report this. I wanted to sit here and report one victory after another where we got tired of reporting on victories. Remember?
Yep, exactly. I hate this too. Absolutely hate it.
And, you know, Daniel Horowitz, we've tried to get Daniel on the show. Maybe all you guys should go over to his website. Here it is. Look at this. Because we've texted him. He responded once, but we've been trying to get him on the show. I don't know why he's not wanting to come on the show. But I like Daniel. I'm always quoting his stuff. Here he is talking about Trump pimping for pot, but he has another one here. Here it is. So Daniel Horowitz tweeted this. This is edge computing. There is no cloud involved. The cloud and AI. Trump is just a boomer who's been conned by tech bros like a senior citizen scammed by telemarketers. The only difference is the scale. Instead of his life savings, they've conned him into handing over the U.S. Treasury and all our future earnings. They play upon his simultaneous intellectual laziness. That's a good word, because I have thought that for a while. Intellectual laziness. What was the last book President Trump read? Intellectual laziness and declining mental acuity. I don't know about that one there, the mental acuity. I don't know about that. The intellectual laziness, I think that's probably very true, as well as his massive ego. Okay, I'll go with that one, but you know, we all have to struggle. We all struggle with our vices, so I'm not going to throw stones, right? You know, he was without sin, let him cast the first stone. So we all have our weaknesses, but I do think he is intellectually lazy. But I'm just reading a major conservative here, Daniel Horowitz, whose title is over at The Blaze, senior editor at The Blaze. Okay? So this is not some leftist guy. And this is the kind of thing going on all over social media today. People are ticked.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Biden or Kamala Harris were doing this?
Yeah, there you go. You know, we need to stop.
Why am I more exercised than you, Patrick? Did you take something before you came on the air?
No soma for me. But I'll tell you what, we need to stop making excuses for Trump. Trump is who he is. And we should understand from the get-go, even going back to the first administration, he's been on the side of AI and tech bros all the way. So this is not surprising at this point that he's caving to these people. And, this since January 23rd, when the inauguration took place, he's executed over maybe 221 executive orders, more than any president in history. Incredible. 221 executive orders without Congress. So, this whole thing is over the top at this point, and many of these EOs have been related to the unleashing of AI in our government and society in particular. Now he's trumping the states as well. He knows better. You say, well, maybe he doesn't understand the Constitution. Really? How? It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out what's going on here. These tech bros, yes, they're in charge for sure, but these tech bros, especially we see standing behind the president there, was the Secretary of Commerce. This EO hamstringing the states is being done under the Department of Commerce in particular, who think they can enforce the Commerce Clause of 1876, I think it was, something like that. And so you see the word commerce and this EO all over the place, like 7 times. I checked. So the Secretary of Commerce is going to be mounting a task force to make sure the states toe the line. Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right. Well, then we have to add in Ted Cruz. I've never been a fan of Ted Cruz since he was pushing the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's in my 2015 book, Becoming Religious Right. Then we can get into Heidi and what she supposedly was doing with the George W. Bush administration and the whole Mexico, Canada, and America thing, right? But anyway, here's Ted.
It's a race, and if China wins the race, whoever wins, the values of that country will affect all of AI. We don't want China's values of surveillance and centralized control by the communist government governing AI. We want American values of free speech, of individual liberty, of respecting the individual. So this executive order, I believe, is tremendously important. Thank you for your leadership.
What, the executive order related to not allowing is that the executive order he's talking about, related to the states not regulating AI? Well, how is that?
Yes.
That's the absolute opposite of everything stupid Ted, I think, just said.
You're right. You're absolutely right. This is so much doublespeak. It just makes your head spin around. The whole thing with AI, since at least when Trump got in office, it's been a complete gaslight operation. Saying stuff that just isn't true, and then telling people it is true. You can't make this stuff up. It's absolutely incredible. So, you turn it around now and say, well, in order to serve the common good, we're going to just take away states' rights, even temporarily, maybe. But you'll get it back, eventually, they say. This is a gaslight. It's totally false.
Well, if Ted is so worried about China winning the AI race and we can't have social credit scores and everything they have, well, then don't empower the tech bros who can't be accountable to the states and the people thereof. That's how that happens, Mr. Ted Cruz. And if you're so worried about China outdoing us on the AI race, then look at this headline today from the Associated Press. Trump approves sale of more advanced NVIDIA computer chips used in AI to China. I mean, again, the double speak. Where is Ted Cruz saying, we don't want them to win, Mr. President, don't ship NVIDIA chips to China? There was his chance to say it right there on camera. But,
yes,
see, I think he's counting on the American people being, bottom-feeding, low-information voters.
Yeah, I think so. Wow, this is just incredible. And then we have the story about Pete Hegseth at this point, who's embedding AI now into the military. This is so disturbing for Christians, especially. I think
Yeah, I've got it. I'm bringing it up.
Story.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up as quick as I can. Yeah, there it is.
Well, in this press release, he says he makes the comment that manifest destiny. That's why we're doing this. It's our God-given manifest destiny to bring AI into the Department of War in order to conquer our enemies. Who on earth could twist the scripture so much to think that God gave us the AI in the first place in order to conquer our enemies for Christ?
Can someone pull that down real quick while he's talking? Because I want to search something real quick. I want to search something. Hold on one second, guys. Manifest destinies. Manifest destiny. Is that a phrase?
Oh, yes, it is.
Used by the New Apostolic Reformation?
Sort of. It has a long history. You might remember the West was conquered based on manifest destiny doctrine.
Right.
The West. So when the settlers came west under manifest destiny, the leaders in Washington, D.C. told them that it was their God-given right to force all of the natives away from the savages, if you will, out of the land, conquer it, in other words, for Christ. Mm-hmm. This was twisted. It was evil in that point. At that point, and it's still evil. You know, God is not interested in having us conquered anyone at this point, other than people shooting at us. But these people weren't, obviously. Mm-hmm. So this is the doctrine, if you will, that Pete is enforcing, and everybody, he's widely described as a Christian nationalist. He adheres to the doctrine that we have to conquer the world for Christ before Christ can come again.
Yep. That is, that's where I wanted to bring in the New Apostolic Reformation.
Yeah.
Because let me do this. Let me put it in my books. Manifested Sons of God. All right, here we go. We're going to get plenty here. All right, this is in my book, Religious Trojan Horse. Religious Trojan Horse from 2011. Manifested Sons of God. Here we go. The New Apostolic Reformation teaches that certain individuals are becoming new spiritual beings. George Wood, he was the superintendent of the Assemblies of God. He warned against this. The revived church, anticipated by the Kingdom Now proponents. That's what you just described. Mm-hmm. You're saying that he's a Christian nationalist like Doug Wilson and these guys that think we have to usher in the kingdom of God, then the Lord can return. That fits with New Apostolic Reformation, false prophets and apostles, and people like, I think, Cindy Jacobs and Paula White and others. The revived church, anticipated by the Kingdom Now proponents, would demand a new breed of Christians, supermen and superwomen. Believers would be taught that they are more than humans. Some Kingdom Now adherents go beyond little gods, teaching we're little gods running around on earth, to holding to the possibility that we are the manifested sons of God, the race of Christians whose bodies will be transformed not by the coming of the Lord, but by his inner secret coming within themselves, end quote. And then, of course, they go on to teach that those kind of people will be able to raise the dead and do all kinds of stuff. Let's see what this is. Jules' husband was an Assemblies of God pastor. She sent me a bunch of research when I was writing this book and became concerned with this heresy. In 91, Jewel released a report, Joel's Army, it's often called, in which she correctly identifies 4 aspects of the manifested sons of God heresy. 1, to claim perfection through progressive revelations beyond Scripture. The written word of God is held in low esteem and experimental knowledge very high. The word of God is perceived as a symbolic book. The claims that the God-man dwells in every member and is waiting to be discovered and manifest by believers. And it goes on from there. Paul Cain tells it like it is. This is one guy writing about him. Mike Bickle, International House of Prayer. Cain had been a promoter of Joel's Army heresy, also known as manifested sons of God. Paul Cain tells it like it is. He says, I don't know what the second coming means to you. There's so many different returns of the Lord or comings of the Lord. I don't know. We have a cardinal doctrine like that, but he goes on. let me tell you, he's coming to you. He's coming to his church. He's coming to abide in you, to take up his abode in you. I want you to know he's coming to the church before he comes for the church. He's going to perfect the church so the church can be the image and be him and his representation, end quote. And then Bob Jones says, and the church that is raising up the government will be the head and the covering for them. There's a ministry after the fivefold called the ministry of perfection, the Melchizedek priesthood. Your children will be moving into the ministries of perfection, coming into the divine nature of Jesus Christ. They themselves will be that generation that's raised up to put death itself under their feet, because the Lord Jesus is worthy to be lifted up by a church that has reached the full maturity of the God-man. And then Bill Hammond writes, Jesus will come back to earth and be given the kingdom that has been won for him by this man-child company. The manifested sons of God doctrine teaches that these sons will be equal to Jesus Christ, immortal, sinless, perfected sons who have partaken of the divine nature. They will have every right to be called gods and will be called gods. Now, I bring all that up because I don't know if you care if you call it manifested destiny, manifested sons of God, this Christian nationalism, taking dominion, Reconstructionism. It all, I think, fits and flows together into something I find very dangerous. Agree or disagree that I'm tying this all together?
Totally.
Totally what? Agree or disagree?
No, I agree with you. And I'll say that even though Hegseth is not a member of the NAR movement,
right?
There's so many overlaps with Christian Reconstruction and Dominion theology, and he is a member of the.
It's a church tied back to. It's a church I think tied back to Doug Wilson out of Idaho.
Doug Wilson, exactly. He goes to a church in Washington D.C. that's connected, one of the churches that Doug Wilson supports, or
which
whatever,
a lot of these people want to bring in Old Testament law, like the Mosaic law, for the church today, which of course is part of the replacement theology, right?
It really is. On balance, if they could achieve a theocracy, they would do it now. It's not going to happen just like they think, but that's the underlying direction that they're going. So when they talk about the manifest destiny, what they're saying is we have a mandate from God using AI. Basically the concept is they're blaming AI on God and saying, well, maybe he invented it in the first place, gave all these people the inspiration. Now we have this as a tool to conquer our enemies. This is so twisted. This is not Christian theology
and
at all.
I bet you, Patrick, that you and I are one of the few people that are making these connections.
I think you're right. I'm really sick of it. I'm really sick.
I mean, where are all the Bible teachers and everybody and the parachurch ministry leaders that were warning about the New Apostolic Reformation, like we've done for years? Where are they now? Why are they not connecting the dots and warning the church that, you know what, many of you thought this was going to come in from these prophets and apostles, but what if Satan is setting up the right to bring it in, which is why I wrote the book in 2015, The Coming Religious Reich, because I saw it happening right then and in that year, and now it's furthered under the Trump administration when you have, I think, people like Paula White hanging around, and then others like Pete Hegseth that apparently are being influenced by Reconstructionism by churches tied, we're told and read, back to Doug Wilson.
Exactly. This is very disturbing. When national leaders take this position to enforce their theology, if you will, on the rest of Christianity, many Christians are obviously asleep. Mm-hmm. They should be hopping up and down. Like if Trump wants to stop states' rights, you would think that constitutionalists would be hopping up and down, right? Mm-hmm. In the same way, Christians should be hopping up and down right now for what Heggs has just said, that we're going to conquer our enemies with AI, because AI is our manifest destiny. And so, nobody gets it at this point. I can't believe it. But, all of these pastors who have defected in the past, even starting with the death of Charlie Kirk, what happened after Kirk's death has been stunning to me. All of these churches now who followed him in the first place, they've all swung into this Christian Reconstruction camp. They've changed their eschatology at this point. They've gone into all other errors relating to the return of Christ. They're not looking imminently for his return at this point. And where does that leave you? It leaves you with a bunch of Christians who have a hollowed out hope for the return of Christ. This is so stunning. It's just vacating the church at this point.
Yep. And I'm sorry, I'm not compromising my Christian convictions and my biblical worldview to any politician, not even to the Trump administration. That's not where my allegiance lies. And I told this audience from day one, we're going to call balls and strikes. We're not perfect. We're not sinless. We have feet of clay like everybody else. We're not going to be, like condescending. We're going to celebrate the victories, but we're going to point out and be the watchman on the wall. We're not going to try to do it in a self-righteous way. I have no right to be like that, but I am going to be convicted and I'm going to be passionate because I think this is one of the greatest deceptions. Because if this was done under Biden or Harris, people would be coming unglued. This is all you'd be hearing about on talk radio. But this is where Satan gets people into power, or God allows these people to come into power because Satan is trying to set up his beast system, and God's stepping back and letting man do what man wants to do because man has a free will. And you're seeing it happen through the Trump administration. And I'm telling you now, Donald Trump's administration, whether he intends to or not, is going to end up doing more to set up the Antichrist beast system than any president in American history thus far. True or false?
Exactly right. Exactly right. And when Ted Cruz somehow equates what's going in China, that we don't want that to come here, excuse me, it's already here with companies like Palantir operating in our government to spy on everybody. That's just, tell me how this is different, Ted. What are you talking about? We're setting up the same system in America that they have in China already. And I might add, the system in China was set up by the same technocrats to doing it here. So what's the difference? It's the same system. It's a global system. It's a global system where there's no race. There's no race between us at all. The race is Satan getting ready to set up his global kingdom, including everybody. That's all the nations of the world are going to be in it. Not China. It's not going to be multipolar, right? It's going to be one system.
And if the Lord doesn't return, or he's not returning to the second coming, but if the Lord doesn't call the church up,
yes,
in a few years, we're going to look back and say, oh, you see all this stuff right here that you guys are promoting? That was Pete Hegseth. That was Donald Trump. That was Lupnick. That was all of those guys.
Yeah.
Right? No wonder the left, by the way, you watch some of these groups like Right Wing Watch. That was started by People for the American Way. What was the name of the guy he was the producer of All in the Family and all those shows? Remember him?
Yeah. Norman Lear.
Norman Lear.
Yeah.
Norman Lear. Right Wing Watch. I look at some of their videos sometime, and they're like freaked out about the right. I'm like, yeah, me too. The right freaks me out. They're a part of there's parts of the left that freak me out. There's part of the right that freaks me out. Right? And no wonder the people on the left are freaking out because they're thinking, I don't want to live under the theocracy of the New Apostolic Reformation people. I mean, neither do I. I think they're like the Christian Taliban, in my opinion, theologically speaking.
Exactly. We don't want that type of a government in place anywhere in the world. We saw it with Islam, Sharia law. Give me a break. It would be just as bad as Sharia. So we need to abandon this whole idea of enforcing biblical law somehow on the whole society. It'd be so ugly, so unfair, so anti-God. It would be unbelievable.
Speaking of anti-God, remember Jeffrey Sachs?
Oh yeah.
Didn't Tucker interview Jeffrey?
Yes, he did.
It wasn't a challenging debate. I think it was just a softball interview.
Yeah.
And I think Jeffrey Sachs is big into the whole United Nations Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 thing too. Listen to what he said recently, okay, about robots and all that's going to happen. The best comes at the back end of the clip, so hang with me, folks.
What we should be saying is we need to go towards decarbonizing the energy system because that's crucial. We need to be preserving biodiversity and making a common global strategy for that. That's really important. We need to be working together to fight communicable diseases like Ebola so that we don't have a Zika, Ebola, MERS, SARS, dengue, global epidemic, because we're really close to that also. For one of these, we had it with AIDS, where it started in a forest in West Africa and it became a global epidemic. So there are things we really need to do together. And then we need to reflect that we're living in the coolest time of all of science and technology, so we could actually do a lot of fun things together as well. And the most fun thing we could do together is let the robots take all our jobs so that we could go sit in the coffee shops. And that's my idea of basically the 21st century Garden of Eden. It's something like Starbucks.
With free Wi-Fi, presumably, and free bottomless coffee.
Exactly. With Wi-Fi and
free
no
muffins.
baristas anymore, because that'll also be robots, but they will know from your iris scan that you want a
double, triple caramel macchiato, hold the foam.
It'll be like a Garden of Eden, heaven on earth. We'll be served by robots.
Oh, boy.
I'm really glad. Yeah. I'm really thankful I'm 56 years of age. Right?
I think I say this all the time.
I mean, I don't know how old you are and if you want to announce it, but I'm glad I am the age I am. I would not want to be. I would not want to be 22 years old in this world. Would you?
It would be really tough at this point. And, you know, at some point there's going to be a civil war, probably in America as well. And, you know, every totalitarian regime that's come into power in the last 120 years has resulted, for that society, has resulted in at least 50 million deaths each. So if we turn into a totalitarian state, we will risk the death of many millions of people in our country. We don't want to see this, obviously, but this is the nature of totalitarian regimes. They all end up killing their citizens.
Okay, now look at this. If you want to, and I've reported on this in the Worldview Report tonight, but now you're going to have to upload if you want to come visit, and I guess be here part of the soccer thing coming up. What is it called? The Barney Fife? Is it what? The Barney Fife soccer tournament? Oh, FIFA. I think it's the Barney Fife. Barney FIFA soccer tournament coming up. Then there's got a lot of visitors coming. Okay, fine. Vet them. Do whatever you got to do. I appreciate that. But I think what this is really about is using that, safety. And it's always safety and convenience, right? And now they're going to use that to get everybody used to loading up their data on this global system. As you already said, this is not a race between China and America. The World Economic Forum's keynote speaker at their Great Reset conference a few years ago was Xi Jinping. He was the opening speaker, okay? Yes. There's no race. They are all in agreement. They're all going together. They're doing the global government summit in, Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates. They're all on the same side. There's no war between the communists, the fascists, the socialists, the globalists, the Islamists. They're all together. Look at where they hold their conferences, at each other's places. They're all together on this. So stop buying the lie that, we got to beat China because we don't want to become like China. Really? No, they are all cooperating together, okay? So here the U.S. is going to make you, if you want to come here and visit, put in all your social media accounts for the last 5 years, your biometrics, your face, your fingerprints, your DNA. Wait a minute, really? Your DNA. Okay, we go to the executive order. There it is. DNA. Now people say, that's for security. Look, they're going to find every reason they can for you to get on an airplane to fly from, Arizona down to Miami you're going to have to do this too eventually. I mean, everything under the sun, they want to harvest all this data. I don't care what event they have coming on in the country. They're just trying to get everybody used to this, whether you're coming or going or in the country. This is going to be for everybody, right? Anyone, rich or poor, small or great. That's what the Bible says in Revelation 13. That's what's coming.
Exactly. Probably the most disturbing thing, the most disturbing phrase in relating to commerce in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, is the concept of the buying and selling of souls. That always, triggered me. What is it talking about? The buying and selling of souls. This is, we don't see this necessarily today, but you can see where it's going when your whole persona is put into an AI program to create a digital twin of you that could be analyzed and tweaked and whatever. It's like your soul is being sucked out of your body, and that becomes a tradable commodity.
Logan, do we have the video you made the other night of me? How long will that take? Okay, so Logan walks into my office the other day. He says, I want to show you something. He starts playing a video of me at the news desk. I thought it was me. If someone had said, is that you? I would say, yeah, I think it might be. I mean, of course, in this day of AI, I don't know, but I think that's probably me. It sure sounds like me. It looks like me. Now, Logan said, look, there are a few small details you can see that would cause you to say, I think that's AI. And he's right. But my initial reaction was, when he showed it to me, was, what am I watching? I mean, it's it's my worldview report. He's like, no, that's AI. And then as I examined it more closely, I was like, okay, I can see aspects of where that would come out. But the point is, we're in the early stages. If I am looking at something going, is that me or is that AI? It sounds like me. It looks like me. Okay, well, there's a few things there that cause me to think that's probably AI. Now, I've done about almost 1,000 worldview reports. Almost 1,000 30-minute worldview reports. So do you think I can remember every worldview report I've delivered? No. But if it's that good now where I even have to do a double take to say, is that really me? Is that really my voice? Is that really me, my image? Or is that AI? Then imagine what the average person out there is going, well, that's Brandon House. But wait a minute. Wait till the technology in another 6 months to a year is so good that I can't tell. Logan can't tell. Watch this. This is all AI, folks. The voice and everything. Watch this. What if I told you that America's entire future hinges on one issue, immigration? According to The Atlantic, the country's ability to solve its biggest challenges depends on getting immigration right. First, the U.S. faces a shrinking workforce, and only immigrants are keeping it growing. Second, political gridlock has stalled any real reform for decades, leaving millions in limbo. Third, the article warns that without a clear path forward, America risks falling behind globally. The takeaway? Immigration isn't just a border issue, it's the foundation for everything else. Want to know what's at stake next? Keep watching as we break down the real impact of America's immigration debate. Now, you can tell with the mouth that, wait a minute, that may not be real, but I did do a double take. To say, wait a minute, that's not me, right? He's like, no, that's AI. I said, my voice? I said, that sounds like my voice. Okay, so wait till it's another 6 months from now. I won't be able to tell. Nobody will be able to tell. Things will be being put out that are not me. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about trading your soul, right?
No, I know. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what do you think of that you just saw?
I could spot it almost immediately, but that's only because I've listened or viewed so many fake videos, and I look for stuff intuitively now. But you're absolutely right. It makes you shake your head. Maybe it is me with some modification, but yeah, You can't
And that
tell.
was a beta version, Logan's telling me. That was a beta version of the software, meaning that's just the testing phase.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I've got to talk to, and what I need to do, literally, what I need to do is go and talk to my, I have a litigation attorney, a corporate attorney, a tax attorney, and I have an intellectual rights attorney and a trademark attorney. So I need to go talk to my intellectual property and trademark attorney about trademarking my voice and my image. I'm not kidding, because if you're, and you should do the same. If you're a public figure of any kind, you should probably be looking at trademarking your voice and your image.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
I do. Yeah. It would cost money, but yeah, I see it.
Because then you would at least have a legal ground to have stuff taken down. You're violating copyright.
Yeah.
You're infringing on trademark.
Here's a scenario, an interesting scenario. Considering that Pete Hegseth wants the AI in all government, the Department of War, he says everybody in the whole department, top to bottom, needs to use AI. Imagine a soldier in the field getting his hands on a video creation software and faking some orders from higher ups to do certain illegal things, for instance, or whatever. Just imagine if that was pawned off as being the commander himself, your company leader or whatever, and imagine the chaos that could create in the military.
Mm-hmm. And imagine if a fake AI comes out of Xi Jinping or Putin declaring war.
Yes. Exactly.
All right, let's go to this little video as we wrap. Joe Rogan, people are saying you got to see this. Look at this. Joe Rogan talking to Elon Musk. Look at this.
Is to the jobs that are going to be lost because of AI and robotics, the jobs due to automation, the jobs due to no longer do we need human beings to do these jobs because AI is doing them. Do you think it's going to be some sort of a universal basic income thing? Do you think there's going to be some other kind of solution that has to be implemented? Because a lot of people are going to be out of work, right?
I think there will be actually a high demand for jobs, but not necessarily the same jobs. So, I mean, this is actually, this process has been happening throughout modern history. I mean, there used to be, like doing calculations manually with like a pencil and paper. It used to be a job. So they used to have like buildings full of people, cold computers, where the banks would all you do all day is you do calculations because they didn't have computers. They didn't have digital computers that people do. Yeah, well, it was just people would just like add and subtract stuff on a piece of paper, and that would be how banks would do financial processing. And
you'd have to literally go over their equations to make sure the books are balanced.
Yeah, and most times it's just simple math. Like in a world before computers, how did you calculate? How did you do transactions? You had to do them by hand. So then, when computers were introduced, the job of doing, bank calculations no longer existed. So people had to go do something else. And that's what's going to happen. That's what is happening at an accelerated rate. Due to AI and then robotics.
That's the issue, though, right? The accelerated rate, because it's going to be.
It's the accelerator. It's just happening. Like I said, AI is the supersonic tsunami. So that's what I call it, supersonic tsunami. So
it's like, what other jobs will be available that aren't available now because of AI?
Well, AI. Is really still digital. Ultimately, AI can improve the productivity of humans who build things with their hands or do things with their hands, like literally welding, electrical work, plumbing, anything that's physically moving atoms, like cooking food or farming or like anything that's physical. Those jobs will exist for a much longer time. But anything that is digital, which is like just someone at a computer doing something, AI is going to take over those jobs like lightning.
Coding, anything along those lines. Yeah,
it's going to take over those jobs like lightning. Just like digital computers took over the job of people doing manual calculations.
So if you want your child or grandchild to succeed, you better get them as plumbers, electricians, carpenters, things that require a lot of physical stuff. I mean, I guess the robots will be doing some physical stuff, but I kind of don't think that the robots will be sent out to the house to take a 50-foot snake down the toilet to unclog the can. Or, you know, I don't see robots roofing the house when your house needs new shingles. I don't know. You kind of think that's coming. I can tell by your facial expression.
I do. Absolutely, I do. Yeah.
Knock, knock, knock. Hey, somebody let the robot in so we can get the snake down the can and unclog the toilet.
I know. Robots are coming. You know, Elon Musk says he's going to build a 1 million industrial-grade robots next year in 2026.
Right.
Where are they going to go?
I don't know. I guess they're going to be folding clothes and vacuuming, but are they going to be painting your house and reshingling the roof and doing the electrical work on the house? I don't know.
I know. Yeah. Well, this is the intention. You look at the robots in China, for instance, they're so far advanced from us at this point, with robots especially. They're doing incredible things in China with robots already.
And I don't want to sound like some old fuddy-duddy stuck in the mud who's afraid of technology. You know, people said nobody will watch the television. Nobody, the radio will be supreme. Nobody's going to sit there and watch a television. Well, apparently people said that. Whether it's true or not, I hear the story told. I'm not opposed to the technology, right? I love the technology. Yes. We use it all the time. I'm not even opposed to robots, because again, how do you describe robots? I think some of you in this audience probably have those vacuum cleaners that go around the floor and vacuum the floor and the dust bunnies up. That's a robot.
Oh, yeah.
That's a robot. It might be a low-level robot, but it's a robot. I got to grab this for you real quick. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not opposed to the technology, but at some level in a society, don't you have to put in safeguards in order to protect your free market system, because your free market system is based on work, right? The whole free market. This is something most conservatives don't know. Most conservatives don't know that the whole free market system is based on, and biblically based on work. Even in the garden before the fall, God required work, right? So work is a function ordained by God, even before the fall. And after the fall, it says what? You still gain your wealth or the course of time through the sweat of your brow. Work, right? Mm-hmm. And the Bible says to people, don't take advantage of the poor. Don't cheat them of their wages. Don't be involved in unjust weights and measures. And a lot of this relates to work, right? Your work or your skill is your property. And you trade that skill and property for a wage. Work. So when we run our free market system, it's all based on work. That's what makes something of value, that you had to put in time, you had to put in capital, and you had to produce something, right? It's work. Yep. Everything we do is tied back to someone doing work. But if all of a sudden you're bringing in robots that do everything, doesn't that automatically go against your free market system that is based on work? And that's where governments can step up and say, look, we're not talking about too much government, and we're not talking about too little government. Too little government's bad. Too much government's bad. But at the end of the day, the purpose of government is to reward the righteous and punish the wicked. And the righteous are to do what? The Bible says they are to work, and he who does not provide for his family work is worse than a pagan, an unbeliever. He who will not work, he shall not eat. We see that in the Bible, work is commended. The righteous man is supposed to try to live a solemn and quiet life in his own work. So thereby, government comes along and says, we don't want too little government. We don't want too much government, but we're going to be right in the middle, kind of like right where it should be. And we are going to regulate robots. because we do not want to destroy the work ethic of which our entire free market and Judeo-Christian worldview system is based. Therefore, we will not allow, and states and local governments and could do the same thing, we will not allow robots to take over certain jobs. Now, I'm going to ask you, do you think that is a violation of people's liberty or freedoms to put in those kind of restraints or not?
Not at all. Not at all. The government should be in the business of protecting the citizens, period. That was the purpose of government from the get-go. And it doesn't matter what kind of a government it is. To protect the rights of the people, to just get along, to live their life, and not let foreign hordes come in and steal everything, that sort of thing. And it's like this is not a difficult concept, but at this point, all of this has been inverted against God. Think about all the things that have been inverted that God told us to do in the first place, and work is one of them for sure. Work is essential to society. So is your immune system. So what are they trying to do with all the mRNA shots, et cetera, to destroy your immune system? That was your defense against diseases and stuff. Think about the other things like the air we breathe. Global warming is a threat because of CO2. Oh, I thought God set the whole thing in motion. CO2 is our blessing. It's not our curse. And is part of the life cycle, right? All of the stuff that these people have done is inverting some aspect of creation. Work is such an important aspect of that. If you take people's work away from them, what are they going to do other than just basically they're going to wither and die? What happens when people retire from their jobs they have for 40 years, 45 years? People talk about, well, what happened to Uncle Joe, whatever. Well, he retired, and then 2 years later, he died.
Right.
What happened? Well, you know what? He just gave up because there was no work for him anymore. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is going to happen on a mass scale.
Now, apparently, this is the first automated McDonald's. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah. To show it.
Really? Here it is.
This is huge news. The first fully automated McDonald's is now open in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, this is what's going to happen with AI technology. It's going to first take over low-level jobs that require repetitive tasks, simple decision-making. This includes jobs like this McDonald's here. As AI systems become more sophisticated, they will take over more complex jobs. Financial analysis, legal, even medical diagnosis will eventually be taken over by AI.
Wow. And then we have more videos, I guess, how it's done. Let me see if I can find another one. I think we got another one. Here we go. Let's watch this one here.
The automation. The patty in the bun was placed in the back by a chef. As you get to the automation, you're going to see that the machine will sense that the machine, there's a camera there. It reads the barcode, tells you exactly what it is that you ordered. Now, this machine will cut onions, lettuce, tomatoes, and pickles fresh. So, and place it onto the burger. So the first step is going to be the lettuce. And then the onions. It's going to pick up the pickles. And then after that, it's going to go pick up the tomatoes. And then place it onto the burger. The great thing about this is that as it's placing onto the burger, the machine tells you at the end of the day how many onions, lettuce, tomatoes, and pickles was used in a day, how many burgers ran through your system, which is great for operating. This machine has capability of 4 different sauces. In this case, there's 2. There's a garlic aioli and a gochujang sauce. Now this could be less, more, or extra in terms of the amount of sauce that you put onto the burger as well. Every part of this can be tailored to the customer's demand. The last part, Bob, we call him Bob, burgers only better. We'll close the clamshell. The fries will automatically come up. Bob will grab the fries. place it onto the tray. At which point we're done. That's your burger.
Okay, I don't think that's McDonald's, but that is pretty cool. But, you know, the only thing I can say I like about it is I don't like people breathing on my food. I'm a real germaphobe. I don't like people breathing on my food. If you ever come to my house to eat, you'll notice that if my wife has a lot of people out and around and we do a buffet, she already has picked up a plate and set it aside because she knows if people go through the buffet line and she has not gotten my plate, I will not eat that. I will have her make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I will not eat food that people have breathed all over. Just me. Sorry. So the only good thing I can say about that is I don't have to worry about anyone breathing on my hamburger. And you know what? I've seen some videos where people are spitting in hamburgers and stuff. Have you seen that? Some people doing this?
Yes,
I won't have to worry about that. I know
worse.
That, you know, my wife's like, she'd send something back. She's always worried. You know, the people in the back kitchen are ticked at her now because she's like, hey, you know, it is what it is. But if the robot was making it, we wouldn't have to really worry about the robot spitting in anything, would we?
Well, what if the robot was just oiled and it drops oil in your food?
Gasoline, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you for giving me something else to worry about. But on a serious note, this is not good. I mean, again, we got to try to figure out how we process this because I'm for innovation. I'm for cutting costs. I'm for businesses being as profitable as possible, right? I am for the freedom that people have to make decisions on how to run their business and make their business more profitable, particularly in a day and age where inflation, taxation, red tape make it so hard on business owners, right? So when it's so hard on business owners and they're thinking, I'd rather have people work for me, but between workers' comp, health insurance, paid leave that they now say I have to pay for, like up in Minnesota, you get so many days off for your bonding with your baby. I think even the dads get this stuff now. Then we have people who file frivolous, worker comp things onto employers, right? It doesn't take very long. If you've run a business, you're like, I'm not really wanting to mess with the employees because I've had too many of them lie to me, cheat me, file false, and frivolous worker comp claims, cost me a fortune. So yeah, I would like to go automated. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, and I'm not saying every employer is, every employee is ever like that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying with all of the obstacles our government has put up for the entrepreneur and the business owner, sometimes you could see where they would go, well, if this will cut my cost and help me increase my bottom line to make a living for myself and my family, okay. Because the government's made it so hard to run a business with all the taxes and regulation and red tape, as I said. So in one sense, they have laid the perfect scenario to cause business owners to need to do this, not just maybe want to do it, but need to do it. Does that make sense?
Probably so. Probably so it does. I've always said if technology serves me, I'm okay. If technology demands that I serve it, I'm not okay. That's my litmus test, if you will. And even as a businessman, you have to count the cost down the road when you get rid of your people, and then for whatever reason something comes up and you can't use that technology like you thought, then you're up the creek with a bunch of robots sitting around and they can't do anything at all, and you've lost your employees and all your capital's tied up and you're instantly bankrupt.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point. But of course, someone's going to have to build these restaurants. Someone's going to have to install these restaurants. Someone's going to have to monitor, and someone is going to have to repair all of those robots, right?
Yes, of course.
So, I mean, if you're talking about millions and millions of robots, you're talking about millions of jobs to service the robots, unless I guess at some point they get the robots to service the robots.
Well, wait just a minute. You're exactly right. The robots are already being trained to repair other robots and themselves if they can.
Mm.
Yeah, this has been a thing.
I grew up watching Buck Rogers and all that stuff. This is far beyond. I mean, this is so hard to wrap your mind around, isn't it, for us? I mean, it probably isn't for the guys in the control room. The 20-somethings, they've all been born into an environment with computers and iPads and phones. But for you and I, this is getting, I mean, it's really like hard to believe that this is happening in this fast. You and I have seen such massive change. Look, you're older than I am, but at 56 years of age, born in 1969, the amount of change that I have seen in my lifetime, you know, I don't know how, you're probably, 15 years older than I am? Mm-hmm. So can you imagine the change that anyone that's in their 80s, like my parents, have seen? Yes. I just think about the change I have seen. Remember, I was playing the old Pong game where we thought the fun video game was just a little bleep going across the screen and you move your little dial so that the little rectangle hits the ball and back to the opponent, and you're playing Pong back and forth in the early 70s or mid 70s. You thought, hey, that's a pretty cool game. Hey, we are so far beyond that now.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, we need to remember the most important thing in life are human connections. Number one, and to find ourselves doing the things that God set us here to do in the first place, like work and serve people. Yep. And those sorts of things. This is the essence of Christianity, I believe. But you have an article on your website, MIT study, AI initiatives fail 95% of the time.
Okay, so is this really going to work in the next year or two, or are we being sold a lot of smoke and mirrors right now?
We're a lot of smoke and mirrors for sure, because at this point, software people are telling me that there's a false narrative when first you create a program out of using AI, you prompt the AI, said, I wanted to do this or that, whatever, and it does it. It might work on day one. But if the developers, the skilled developers, 3 months later or 3 weeks later, 3 months later, they discovered, oh, there's a bug or we need to change a feature now for whatever reason. That this is the nature of software in the first place. You got to change it. So what they've discovered now, they can't debug their programs that were generated from AI in the first place because they're too complex, and AI does stuff that human developers don't do. So all of a sudden, their programs are unsustainable. They can't be extended, etc. And just take this on and what they're complaining about, by the way, what they can't understand is how did the software, the creation software, what decisions were made along the way to arrive at that solution in particular, right? There's no audit trail on the decisions. So when the human decisions can't be questioned, you can't question anything at that point. There's the program, like it or lump it. Think what the government is inducting in itself at this point on this basis. Government is always dependent on human decisions along the way, right? So if that audit trail of the human decisions is lost because of AI, when AI comes up with a solution or something, or says you're out of the system or you're in the system or whatever, there's no way to go back and say, well, how did AI arrive at this decision for me? There's no way to tell that. And at this point, the military, for instance, they're completely embedding it. Our government, Washington, D.C., is embedding AI everywhere. How do you think this is going to go? When the human decisions, when the chain is broken of the human decisions that went into all of the decisions that are made, nobody's going to have a clue what happened. They won't. There's no way they can figure it out what happened here, and it's going to be a train wreck for a government.
And what are they going to do when a foreign government cyber hacks you and shuts everything down, and you have no food, no distribution, no trucking, no nothing, because all the robots, have been turned off, or there have been malware put in, and everything's been messed up on purpose. So now your whole economy collapses because there's no human to go physically load the truck, drive the truck, deliver the goods, harvest the goods, because they've put infectious malware across the whole system.
That could happen. Certainly it could. But even if it doesn't, the whole of society dependent on AI in general, is going to degrade by itself, short of any other type of event like an EMP or something. And society itself will degrade because the human decisions are absent from the system. Nobody can figure out how AI arrived at a particular decision now. And this is so dangerous. And so people are going to be, their brains are be so atrophied at that point, they can't make a decision.
Right. You don't use it, you lose it. You don't use it, you lose it, right? Okay, as we wrap, all of this is going to require more than 5G. We're going to have to get to 6G and higher. What is this? Well, look at what President Trump, I'm going to see this for the first time. I read the description, but I'm hearing it for the first time. Here we go.
So we're into 6G now.
Did you catch that? He said we're on to 6G now, just in case you didn't catch that.
So we're into 6G now. I just finished 5G. I was a leader on 5G getting that done. And now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect it is? I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's the 6 is coming, huh? So
6G.
What?
Okay, now
what he's talking about here, what he's talking about here about seeing under your skin, this is the concept of digital twinning, where digital twins can be modeled like of people, cars, buildings, whole cities, whatever. It's going to be dependent on 6G. That technology will be enabled by 6G. The twinning, for instance, of the bodies the people have, and they don't have to experiment on you, give you a shot or whatever. They can experiment on your digital twin, figure out what's going to happen, and then they can retrofit the whatever they want to give you, and you get it in your own flesh at that point. This is exactly what he's talking about here.
And now, of course, this is popular mechanics back in 2023. Scientists can now use Wi-Fi to see through people's walls. And of course, the more higher 6G you have, the more they can use this technology to get, I think, clearer and clearer images and views using all the Wi-Fi, the wireless technology, right?
Could be, yeah. Who knows?
The whole thing is just quite shocking. But as far as the 5G, 6G, the question is, and we have a lot of studies from Dr. Bashima Williams and other doctors about what this does to us, what it does to your DNA, breaking down your DNA, making people sick, unhealthy, contaminating your cells at the DNA level. I mean, this has serious ramifications. I mean, isn't it RFK Jr. that has done court cases on the impact of 5G onto families and children and people who have massive health problems after being around this? They move them out in the middle where this is not going on. Their health improves, bring them back to where it's at. Their problems show up again. Well, just go to 6G and then 7G. At what point have we just destroyed our own DNA? And now we have a whole problem with fertility, reproduction, and sustaining life. But don't worry about it because they want, apparently, the globalists to depopulate. And they got robots. They don't really need people.
You're right. And when you consider, we didn't talk about Curtis Yarvin and his whole concept of benevolent genocide. Oh, my. You know, we won't talk about it now for sure. But people need to read the book and just see what we said about his writings explaining how benevolent genocide would get rid of all of the undesirable elements of society, like you and me. And oh boy, this is a crazy, crazy sci-fi scenario. But you know, this is the way these people are thinking at that point. They don't care about your health at all. They really don't. That's why there's never been any significant pushback against 5G. In fact, it was President Trump that brought it up and brought it out in his first term. He was all in on 5G from the get-go.
He said it.
Probably
he said it in that meeting we just saw.
Yeah, exactly. So, he was all in then. He'll be all in when 6G comes. But at this point, AI is taking the stage, center stage, and AI is going to be what's showcased to the destruction of society going forward from here.
Technocracy.news, technocracy.news in the book, The Final Betrayal, available on Amazon and at technocracy.news. As always, great program with you, Patrick. Thank you, my friend.
My pleasure. See you later.
Thank you. See you, my friend. All right, we'll be back right after this short break. Remember, hey, you appreciate all we just did right there? All we talked about, and through the lens of a Christian worldview. We brought up scripture along the way, did we not? Well, then please continue to support us with your end of the year giving. Thank you to all of you that have. If you cannot support us financially, don't worry about it. That's why we push it out. We don't want people limited over the dollar figure. But if you can support us and you're not, please don't forget about us in your end of the year giving. We'll send you a tax receipt with our EIN number by the end of January of 2026. You can make a contribution now at worldviewfoundation.com. You can use that phone number right there. Just leave a voicemail for Melissa or text her. She'll get back to you. Or again, you'll find our mailing address at worldviewfoundation.com. We'll be right back. We have a big announcement, folks, something we've been waiting on for several months, and it's now here. It's called Bella Melt. You were on it for just 1 week when you lost 3 pounds. So in the first week, you lost 3 pounds on this, right?
That is correct.
Your GLP-1 is a natural hormone that's in every single one of our bodies. And your GLP-1 lets you know if you're full. It's a satiety hormone. So when your GLP is working properly, it does help suppress your appetite as well as reduce those cravings. It's a sugar-free fast melt caramel. So what it's going to do best is it's going to reduce your sugar cravings or any other cravings you have in your body. It's going to suppress that appetite. But where Melissa got the most benefit, I think, over the last week was the L-carnitine. The L-carnitine tells your mitochondria, this is where you make, we've talked about it before, this is where you produce energy in your cells. It actually tells those mitochondria to burn fat for fuel. We're noticing other people losing up to 7 pounds in the first week. 4 pounds has been about the average. As you lose weight and as you take these Bella Melts, it's going to help lower that blood sugar in your body as well.
All the information is there. MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com. Just now introducing for the first time Bella Melt with GLP-1 fast action. Joining me now is Tina Blanco with worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com. Christmas is coming up. These make great Christmas gifts, the satellite phones, the beanies that knock down the EMF, the solar generators, and more. Tina, you called me the other day. You said, hey, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I'm like, all I'm doing is saying these make great Christmas gifts. Go to worldviewtalk.com. But we really want to thank our audience for purchasing from you guys these great products because it supports our network. But the phones are ringing, huh?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of people are concerned about the EMF. And that's the reason more and more people are buying Faraday products. As you know, the cell phone generates a lot of radiation, especially when you put it right next to the bed. And if you put your phone inside of a Faraday bag before you go to bed, and put it next to your bed, you still have access to your phone, but you're not generating any radiation. And also, you're not having anybody tracking you. Why should you have people, big tech, track you while you're asleep? They seem to already know everything about us. So it is kind of a way to not have weighted tracking. And I think a lot of people are starting to recognize that, Brandon.
Yeah. So those are the most popular products right now is the Faraday bags that knock down the EMF and the tracking. Those are the most popular selling?
Those are the most popular. And then also the backpacks, because not only do they have a Faraday pocket, but these seem to be really, people love these for Christmas gifts. Because
they're bulletproof too, right?
Bulletproof, yeah. So these are really nice to be able to give to your grandkids, your children. And the thing is you can come in a line of fire anywhere. It could be at the mall, you could be driving, you could be in a car, it could be anywhere. And these, you can just hold these if you hear gun, whatever, depending on where you live. If you're in LA, you probably hear that every single day. But anyways, So you just hold that, for your body, to protect your body, and that will, give you about, I think what the study showed is that they give you about a 95% higher survival rating than not having anything bulletproof in case and you're in an area where the bullets are flying.
Here, in fact, I think we have a little video on it. Let's watch this, guys. Here we go. Watch this.
Offer you a higher degree of survivability, which that's exciting. So what do we have here in the first bag?
So this is more of our everyday kind of backpack that we invented. So this has some Kevlar plates in here, and there's also a Faraday pouch in the back compartment over here.
When we say Faraday pouch, these are pouches where you can drop electronic devices that are going to offer you protection against an electromagnetic pulse, right? Which is going to turn all your electronics into paperweights. It's a quality problem. They're going to offer you protection against skimming devices. These are devices people walk by and skim your cell phone or your wallet, take all your information, steal your car, all those fun things. And so it's really nice to have options, right? To be able to shut down the signals coming from you and stop signals coming into you if you need to.
Actually, the creator of Escape Zone, this is the company that supplies these bags for us. The reason that she came up with the Faraday option in the back of these everyday backpacks is there was teachers complaining in schools that their kids or their students' phones kept on going off in class. So all you have to do is just your student drops their phone in here, zips it up, and they can't get any calls coming through. After class, they can take their phone out and all their messages from their parents will come to them, but it won't interrupt class, which is nice.
And then this backpack also offers some ballistic protection where we level 3 Alpha 3A. We have a backpack here that was shot at and was tested.
The actual plates itself.
Plates still in here.
Yeah, there's actually some bullets that are still caught in between the plates as well.
Whoa, there you go. So super light. Literally, you will not even really know that this is in here unless you need it. That's a 9mm round. It looks like that might even be a 45 round. I've done some ballistic tests on plates like these. They stop most every handgun round. The other really cool thing about these plates is, TSA, you can travel with these. I have one in my backpack everywhere I go, and I'm constantly rolling through TSA with these plates. They never stop. And the times that they have looked through my bag, it's been a non-factor. They've never had a problem with it. So that's awesome.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Well, that's, I don't know. That seems like an automatic must for the average kid going to any school, because we've seen shootings at public schools, at Christian schools. Of course, a lot of people like to carry a backpack when they're out doing a lot of things. So you have one of these on your shoulder. As big as that is, that immediately can cover your entire torso for most people. I mean, the bigger guys it can't, but for a lot of people, it'll cover their entire torso, and it's bulletproof.
Yeah, you can actually carry those bullets. You can, you think about when our president was shot at, and the fireman that used his body to protect his family that was killed at that event. I hate to say it, but if you have one of these, this is the time that you would use it, because you never know. You think you're at a safe place. You think the malls are safe. You think anywhere is safe. Having any kind of bulletproof with you all the time is a very, very important to have, I believe. And as long as you react, you have to remember to react. If you hear bullets, you have to react, and you have to hold the backpack, especially like if you're in school. Now that was Byron Rogers. He's a former military. He is one of our big fans that comes to our office and loves these products because he has been using them, and he knows a lot about our products, and he loves our products. So so that's kind of cool.
And if people want to call that number there to talk to a representative, just call that 866-738-3224, 1-866-738-3224. So what else? What else makes great Christmas gifts, particularly if you're trying to get something that's useful, maybe life-saving, but also financially affordable?
Yeah. So the satellite phones, as you said, they're still free. We still give these phones for free when you sign up on the service. Those are all really, really nice if you have that one person in your life that loves to go hiking, camping, if you just want to go off the grid, or if you just want to have a call that you don't want the big tech to listen in on. These are
these big tech's not listening in on these satellite phones.
No, this is the reason why the military uses these, because they don't want the bad guys to listen in, or they're all encrypted. The calls are encrypted. The text messages are encrypted. So for privacy, and then also keep in mind that still today, the satellite phones still only work in 7% of the Earth. These work on 100% of the Earth. Some satellite phones may have texting capability, but they don't always work. And also, they're limited. The satellite phones cover 100% of the planet.
Wow. And you're gracious enough to let the minutes roll over. So if you don't use your minutes, they roll over, so that when you do have to use it, you don't have to worry about chewing up all your minutes because you've got a bunch in reserve, right?
Yeah, that's right. So whatever minutes you don't use, they roll over, and they continue to roll over. And we saw this. You and I saw this happen during Hurricane Milton, Hurricane Helene, and then also when the fires happened in Hawaii a couple years ago. The people that had these phones allowed the whole neighborhood to make a call to let their families know that they're okay, because it was the only communication thing that worked in the whole island of Maui was the satellite phones. So the people that had them for years wrote us and said, you know what, I've had my phone for many years and I've never used it. And then during this emergency, you have no idea the feeling that families felt knowing that their families were safe. And so it does come in very, very handy.
All right, let's talk about solar generators real quick. Tell me about those.
Yeah. So the solar generators. So we have some that can just power your electronics, and then we have some that can power your whole house should there be an outage. And we've seen that happen so much this year alone on outages across the country. So it's really nice having some backup. And then also we have combination so that you can have a generator and a solar panel. So our solar panels go up to 400 watts, which is so amazing. And it's portable. So I can actually carry it. As you know, other solar panels, even a 100 watt weighs about 50, 60 pounds. This is 400 watts and it weighs less than 40 pounds. And it's got a handle, so it is easy to carry. But if you don't need a 400 watt, because if you don't want to power your whole house, we have 120 watt. We have 240 watt. We also have 60 watt. So get whatever it is that you need to power should there be emergencies. Some people may just want to do the heater, the portable heaters, or the portable air conditioners, or just plug in their refrigerators. So all of that is available, and our agents can help you choose what's best for you.
Good. 1-866-738-3224, 1-866-738-3224. Talk about this real quick, because this is inexpensive, and I don't know how they're doing this year, but you were selling a lot of these to our audience last year, right?
Yeah, we still are. Those are the Bivy sticks. They combine with your smartphone. So they turn your smartphone into two-way satellite communicator. They use Iridium network. So you take your smartphone with you, and those are very light. They're about 2 to 3 ounces. I think they're pretty light. And what's so good about them is you will be able to send and receive messages to anybody, from anyone, to anyone, from anywhere on Earth, without any exceptions. All you do is you download the app. Then once your app is downloaded, you keep that in, let's say, your backpack. And if you run into an emergencies, or if you need help, or if you just want to chat with someone, or if the grid went down in your area, the cell service went down, you can still communicate with your friends and family using that Bivy sticks. So basically, that is a modem for texting from anywhere on the planet. And
you guys can see this is not big. These are not big at all. Easily fit in your purse. I mean, you could even put it in your coat pocket. But even if the cell towers go down, obviously then your cell phone can still compose the message, sync it with Bluetooth, and still hit send. And instead of going to the cell tower, it goes right up to the satellite and down to them if they have one. But if you give this to a college student, or if your husband travels a lot, he can give you this. and then you keep the satellite phone because you can text off the satellite phone. So the husband can take the satellite phone, or the wife can keep the satellite phone, or vice versa. But as long as one of you has one of these, right? So if the family says, hey, we want a satellite phone because we can use that as a family when we're out doing this or that. But if dad travels, if something happens in the country, we don't want to lose communication, let's send dad with the satellite phone. He has it. But if something happens, he can text. And even if he has to, he can text from the satellite phone back to you with the bivvy, right? So if you don't want to do two satellite phones, you could do one family member gets a bivvy, one family member gets the satellite phone, because you can text off the satellite phone. I got that right?
Right, you did get this right. And I'll tell you, like, there are areas where there is cell coverage, but a lot of our border patrols or militaries will use these bivvy sticks because the texting is encrypted. So no one gets the text. No one can see him, no one can read him other than the actual person that writes them and the person that receives them. So
wow.
That's one of the reasons why these are pretty big with our military. And
now, speaking of privacy, tell me about your cell phones, because you have cell phones where they're not tracking you and you don't store the data. So if the government says, Tina, I want all the data you got on Brandon House, your response is going to be what?
Yeah, our cell phones, but they don't have any. They don't have the Google. They don't have they're just smartphones that you set up to be able to make calls and send text messages. So you're not, if you download the apps, like if you download Facebook or if you download Google or anything, you're going to lose some of the privacy. But if you want complete privacy, Connecta Mobile is a complete privacy product. So those are some of the products. So our company basically is security and safety. So you want safety, you want to protect your body from the EMF. So you want to put all of your electronics inside of a Faraday bag, especially when you go to sleep at night. You buy one of those big duffel bags, you put all the electronics, including your modem, turn everything off at night and go to sleep. At least you get about 8 to 10 hours without any interference from all of this EMF that we have been exposed to. This is the reason why cancer is so high, and pretty much everyone at the point that we're going with the radiation that we're exposed to, we're all going to have cancer as we age. And our children, they've been exposed to the EMF since birth. We've only been exposed to EMF really bad since the 5Gs for about 7-8 years. But imagine what's going to happen to our children. So I would get one of those big duffel bags, protect your family for at least 8 to 10 hours a day without any exposure to EMF. Maybe even get the EMF blankets that we have online to cover your body with, because it blocks the EMF from your body while you're asleep at night. And we also have some clothing line.
And one thing to bring up, let's just bring this up real quick. All the talk of World War III, cyber attacks, whatnot. We got this whole thing going on with Venezuela. I mean, Venezuela is 1,264 miles. Caracas, Venezuela is 1,264 miles as the crow flies. And, we have no idea what these guys have. Do they have missiles? We know that Iran, China, Russia are all working there in Venezuela. Do they have missiles? Do they have other things? I mean, again, whether it's the satellite phones, any of this stuff, the solar generators, these are smart things to have for a lot of reasons, natural disasters and whatnot. But we're living in a day and a time where it seems as though these are not, just cool gadgets or fun things to have. They can be life-saving. I mean, you've been to my house. You know how seriously I take all this, my own gear. You've seen it. I take this very seriously. But now you got potentially right in our hemisphere, Russia, China, Iran working in Venezuela, and it looks like we might go to war. I mean, Maduro's vowing to break America's teeth. I don't know. Does that mean he has nukes? What's he got? I have no idea. But Russia, China, and Iran, unless they decide to walk away from him, this could get serious, very serious, fast in our own backyard.
Yeah. And the easiest thing they could do to us would be to attack our communication, right? So this is the reason. This is another reason why you do want a Faraday bag, because anything that's inside of a Faraday bag cannot be affected
by like EMF. I mean, like EMP. By EMP.
Yeah, EMP. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why you want to put some of your electronics that you have, if you want to protect, because remember, EMP attack is just going to be like minutes. All electronics will be dead, and whatever you have inside of a Faraday bag will be protected.
So like keep your satellite phone.
You take it out.
You need to keep your satellite phone then in that Faraday bag so your satellite phone works. Otherwise, this could get fried, right?
When you're not using your electronics, put them in a Faraday bag. It protects from EMP, it protects from radiation, and it protects from people tracking you. There's no reason for big tech to be tracking you 24/7. Just disrupt that, meaning at least 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day. Put it so that your digital footprint can be disrupted. Right now, your digital footprint is being monitored 24/7. If somebody went to look at your digital footprint right now, they can tell everywhere you've been for the last 3-4 years. I'll say she was there for 5 minutes. She was at Walmart for 5 minutes, at Target. They know everything. So when you put your phone, your electronic inside of a Faraday bag, that for that period of time, there's no tracking. So it kind of disturbs it a little bit, and you want to do that. You don't want to. At least I don't. I don't want to be followed, or I don't want people to know where I'm at, where I'm shopping, where I'm going, where my family lives. I just don't want that. So this is the reason why I carry a Faraday bag, and we do have these crossbody, and not only do they protect the phone, protect radiation, protect the EMF. Also, it's lined with Faraday material. So when you're carrying it close to your body, you're not generating radiation right onto your body, because it has a phone right next to your body in your pocket. You're just destroying your organs. You're just your immune system. So
my
nieces,
my nieces were in town right before Thanksgiving. And they all have kids, and they brought their kids, and my wife's sister and all. We had a big time. My brother-in-law was here. And his girls, the identical twins, they kept sticking their cell phone in the side of their waistband. And I 2 or 3 times I were here, I said, stop doing that. And I told them, all you're doing is putting that radiation right against your organs. Don't do that, And I said it a couple times over the course of a couple of days, and finally all I had to say, what are you doing? And they immediately grabbed and pulled them out. So they knew what I was talking about. But I was trying to tell them, as I do all my family members, don't be putting that thing up against your body for hours on end like that. But yet people do it.
Yeah, it's really going to affect our reproduction in the future, because what's happening with the sperm count and everything, it's lowering it. The next generation, they did a study of rats, where they took a family of rats. After 4 generations, they died out, because they exposed them to the exact amount of EMF that we're exposed to today. So in studies showing that we're down about 40% or so because of the radiation, the 5G. So and we have the tools. Look, protect yourself. Get a Faraday blanket, get a Faraday t-shirt. We have those, I think, now. And if we don't, just wait a couple days, I'll be on there. We have jackets that have Faraday pockets, so that when you put your phone in your pocket, it isn't gonna get you radiation onto your body. You'll have one pocket where you'll block the radiation. You have the other pocket where you block the radiation and the signal. So in case you want to disappear for a couple hours, you can choose the pocket that you want to put your electronics into. So those will be on the website, I think, within about a day or 2.
Perfect.
So we just
There you go. Worldviewtalk.com. Worldviewtalk.com, or that phone number 1-866-738-3224. One final product, the portable Starlink. Now, this is great for people that are traveling around the country in a motorhome, RV, whatever, or if they have a cabin to their primary residence, like a lot of people in Minnesota and Michigan, Wisconsin, go to a cabin. A lot of people have cabins that have been passed down to their family from generation to generation. And they don't want to get, cable and access all internet there. They're only there a few months out of the year or a few weeks out of the year. They can take this portable Starlink with them and travel with that and have instant internet, stream this broadcast and everything else. You guys offer that as well, right?
We do offer it. It is right now, it is strictly for if you have a business. Most people work from home, or any kind of business that you have, you can sign up with us. But yeah, we have some great deals. I believe, call and I believe we can give you the Starlink Mini for free. It's so tiny, it's so light, and it is so fast. That's all I use now. I use that for everything because it is so much faster and is so reliable. I actually really, really love it. And so, yeah, so you can call the phone number that's on that website, and our experts will kind of give you an idea of what would work best for you. But absolutely.
There you go. Lots to offer. Worldview Talk, guys, or 1-866-738-3224, 1-866-738-3224. This is a great sponsor of ours. Oh, so folks, get some great products and support them as they support us with each purchase. So, Tina, we love your company. You are so kind. And of course, we all are big fans of you and your sister, Dr. Bashima Williams. To remind everybody, they are sisters, if you guys have forgotten. So we love working with Dr. Bashima and with Tina.
Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas, just in case I don't talk to you or if I'm not back on. Merry Christmas to the audience and to you and your family.
Awesome. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. And we're going to run this a lot because, folks, these make great Christmas gifts, as we've already said tonight. You'll find so much there at worldviewtalk.com. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Joining me now is our favorite U.S. congressman from the 6th District in Wisconsin, which a lot of our VCY America listeners, he represents them. And so we're glad to have him back from the nation's capital. Congressman Glenn Grothman. Congressman, welcome back. Merry Christmas.
Glad to be on the show, and Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you, good sir.
Isn't it great to have administration that can say Merry Christmas?
It is. And you know what? I want to start out saying I also played the speech by President Trump when he lit the White House Christmas tree there near the eclipse. He read the gospel. He talked about the meaning and purpose of Christmas, where we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ and what salvation really means. And so I just call balls and strikes. And I tell the audience all the time, when this administration does something I like, I'm going to praise them. When they don't, I'm going to point it out. And I have to point out, I love the fact that he was unapologetic about talking about the context of why we celebrate Christmas. So yeah, absolutely. Everything going good there in the nation's capital?
Things are okay right now. We wish we were spending a little less money, right? We wish they were focusing more on building up families, but we'll talk about that a little, what good things we've done and what good things we haven't done.
All right. Well, since you brought it up, here we go. Look at this. Thanks to Congress helping struggling American families during Christmas, is gifting Ukraine, what is that, $800 million? No, it can't be $800 billion. Is it really? $800 billion? Congressman, what's going on?
We're just are allowing President Trump to spend, if he wants to, some of the money in the defense bill, if he needs it for what's going on in Ukraine. It's a very scary thing in Ukraine. And I felt all along it was the toughest challenge President Trump was going to face. The Russian troops are brutal. We know from the way they acted at the end of World War II. The way they treat women isn't good. They've captured tens of thousands of little Ukrainian children to be adopted by Russian couples. So we would really like to wrap it up. I think one of the differences between the Trump administration and the Biden administration is you talk to these Biden people on how we're going to wrap this up, and they would have no clue. It's like it never occurred to them. We're just over here to fight, and if the fight goes on another 10 years, what do we care? President Trump is trying to end this war, but he doesn't want a complete collapse in which you have atrocities committed in Ukraine, and you have a lot more people dying in the Ukraine. So that's kind of what's going on here. And I think people, are you going to let 40,000 Ukrainian children be adopted by Russian couples? I hope not. Are we going to allow Russia to run ramshot across Ukraine, raping the women. Just, I hope not. So President Trump is trying to wrap this up, save as many lives as possible, and quite frankly, get out of there as quickly as possible with the least financial cost.
Yeah, that would be good to get out of there, wouldn't it? Just for the record, Logan, I think it is 800 million. I think that number was 800 million. So there you go. Now let's go to another one of your colleagues. Representative Keith Self. I'm sure you know Mr. Self, right? Congressman Self. He says CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, are already being built in secret right under our noses. And they're the final nail in the coffin for financial freedom. He said that Project Hamilton is a cooperative effort between the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston and MIT. They created an open source code that processes 1.8 million transactions a second, fast enough to track every dollar you spend in real time. The concluded project never stopped. MIT and other Fed banks are still actively pushing it via the Bureau of Industry and Security, or BIS. And this programmable money, surveillance, expiration dates, social credit, total control, it's not coming, it's here. Demand Congress ban CBDCs permanently. What do you make of this? And by the way, I'm sure you know who this congressman is. Where is he from here? Let me look. He is from
Florida.
Florida. Okay. What do you make of this?
It's a concern. It's the end of our freedom if it's adopted. I think the Democrats have made it clear that they would like to adopt it. The reason they claim they like to adopt it is they feel that there's all sorts of transactions we aren't monitoring. We're losing a lot of tax revenue. And of course, they always want to spend more money. But just as great as the danger is once you go to a digital currency, the federal government could do what the Canadian government did to the Canadian truckers during COVID, and that is turn off your currency. So you can think, I've got $50,000 in the bank. I'm in good shape. I can take care of myself, and all of a sudden your $50,000 can't buy anything. Mm. And of course, we know in the Bible references to being unable to transact business without the mark of the beast, what have you. So this was predicted a long time ago. It's not going to happen as long as the Republicans are in charge. But if the Democrats ever get the presidency in both houses, I could see them, in the name of trying to balance the budget, getting more tax dollars in, I could see the Democrats being in favor of this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Now, we could pass a law, and I'm certainly in favor of such a law, in which you ban digital currency, but that's only as good as you have the Republicans in charge right now. And if the Democrats get in charge to go the other way, it's why we have to remain vigilant and why we have to make sure we get commitments out of all of our congressmen, Democrats as well as Republican, that they will never vote for a digital currency.
Yeah, I agree with that. Of course, your neighboring state of Minnesota has a real crisis with the Somalians. I guess the fraud is up to $1 billion there under the governorship of Tim Walz. But I hear today it's also in Ohio. It's being reported, I think, by Fox News. That's also in Ohio. Here is Dr. Peter St. Oneg, however you say his name. I watch his clips from time to time. He says Somalis in Minnesota have apparently stolen billions, but it's the tip of the iceberg. Government Accounting Office estimates $500 billion a year in welfare fraud. $500 billion could eliminate income tax for 90% of Americans. I argued in a radio and TV broadcast in early 2020 after the United Nations had their ID 2020 conference. I said, you can see where the people on the left and the people on the right are all going to argue for this kind of technology for various reasons. And one of it on the right will be to stop all the people that are getting welfare and other programs from the government that don't deserve it. And you can see where biometrics and registering everybody, which is consistent with 16.9, the code of Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. You can see where the left will make their arguments, the right will make their arguments. This would be one of them. We can get rid of the American income tax for 90% of Americans if we just get welfare fraud under control. So I don't know. I have to watch how these things are argued.
Let's talk about the Somali thing. John Adams said, America is built for immoral and religious people and totally unfit for any other kind. There are many countries around the world. There's a little bit of graft in America. We like to make fun of America, but it's rare. In too many other countries, it's common for the government to quite frankly be for sale. And we've got to make sure we don't get too many of those type of people here. Like I said, John Adams said, America's fit for a moral and religious people, totally unfit for any other kind. And obviously, we've made a mistake in letting the Somalis in here, and we have to kick out as many as we can and be more vigilant in the future who we let here, which comes to a huge problem. The Democrat Party, I think for most of our lifetime, at least was in favor of enforcing immigration laws. As a matter of fact, there was a time in the 1990s when I was first involved in politics that the Democrat Party was leading the charge to make sure that we didn't have the wrong type of people coming here and we weren't going to let illegals in. Right now, too much of the Democrat Party would let anybody in under any circumstances. And let me remind your listeners, right now, over 800,000 new people are sworn in as new citizens legally in this country every year. So we're having a huge shift in the population right now. A lot of people coming here. Nobody should ever feel apologetic or say we're not letting enough people in this country. By historical standards, we're letting a lot of people in this country, but obviously we have let in some people who come from backgrounds and countries in which graft and stealing is just too common. Mm-hmm. And we have exposed a problem now in Somalia. If you look at the country back home, it's about as bad a country as you could find, kind of a no man's land there on the Horn of Africa. And hopefully President Trump can kick out as many illegal Somalis as possible.
Does Wisconsin have the Somali problem that Ohio and Minnesota has?
Not in my district. Well, there's a substantial Somali population in northwestern Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to this clip here. This is making a lot of people on social media, I've seen a lot of comments today by very well-known conservative, social, economic conservatives, MAGA people, America First people. They're not happy about this executive order last night in the Oval Office. We'll play it and get your response, Congressman. Here we go.
Good picture. Pulitzer Prize. This is going to be a Pulitzer Prize picture. Let's give him the Pulitzer Prize. He said that. Do you like this guy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I do. Everybody likes Albert, right?
Yeah.
No auto pen necessary. That's a whole big deal, isn't it? Well, what's that all about? Okay. Who am I giving this pen to, David?
And that happens to be the executive order related to one rule book for AI. Now, I'm a state rights guy, the 10th Amendment. So I'm a little concerned about the idea of states not being able to object to certain things. We have a big data center here of course, we're right outside of Memphis. So we have Grok here. I mean, Grok is just a few miles away. Elon built his whole thing here. We have, I guess, Google's going right over the river in Arkansas. That's going to be massive. So states, I would think, ought to have the right to say, wait a minute, we don't want social credit scores. We don't want CBDCs. We don't want AI being used to teach our children. We don't want all this integrated into our school system with our kids. We're standing up for our sovereignty as independent republics. What do you make of basically, I think, stripping the states of their right to object when it comes to all these data centers, what they're doing? Do you have a problem with this?
I think it is something we have to be very vigilant about. Technology is a mixed bag. I think, like a lot of people, I wish in many ways we could go back to 30 years ago. And one of the reasons is it's just too easy to monitor too much about people.
Yeah, it is too easy to monitor. All right, let's go to the issue of family. What are we doing? Any legislation to continue strengthening the family, giving financial relief to families, encouraging people to have children, encouraging people to get married? Because we obviously are seeing Americans procreate going down, either from desire not to get married, not to have children, infertility. We got a population crisis among our own people, do we not? So how can the government incentivize it?
Part of it is a government problem, and part of it is, quite frankly, I think, a problem with the clergy of this country. As far as it's a government problem, I think right now We are making the single family too much of the norm, and we're doing it through a bunch of welfare programs which are conditioned upon people not getting married, or at least not getting married to a guy with an income. So, and we know back in the 60s, even before that, we know Karl Marx was against the American family. In the 60s, the radical feminist Kate Millett and that crew, founders of women's studies, they were anti-family, they were anti-man. And since then, we've just added more and more benefits conditioned upon not getting married. And sadly, one of the big problems in the Big Beautiful Bill, where I think the Republican leadership kind of went off the rails and shows how much you have to trust them. They put provisions in there saying a larger and larger percent of the housing stock is going to be conditioned upon not having a certain degree of income, which means either the federal government is discouraging you from working or discouraging you from getting married. We believe there are a variety of nonprofit organizations that are going to come out in the near future and demand action from Congress and demand action from President Trump, in which we stop encouraging the end of the nuclear family. People are working on it. I've, of course, been very outspoken. It's the reason I ran for this job. And hopefully Republican leadership can get on board a little bit more here.
Tell me what you know about the whole UFO thing. I mean, I think you sit on a committee that oversees some of that. That was all making news a couple weeks ago. It just keeps going. Now there's this new documentary out that's going crazy. What, as a Christian, as I know you are, as a conservative, and based on whatever you've seen, maybe some of it's classified, you can't talk about. What is this all about?
Well, they're hiding stuff. My belief, which is not necessarily mean this is what's going on, it's just my suspicion, is that drones and that sort of thing, the United States has superior technology compared to what we know the government has. And insofar as people see the drones or other sort of things, they think it's UFOs. I think if it was UFOs, we would know that by now, right? I mean, these rumors have been out there for literally over 70 years. And, we have no hard and fast evidence of anything. I have sat on subcommittees in which we looked at this, and it does come across like the federal government is trying to hide something. But like I said, I think they're trying to hide something of a military nature more than they're trying to hide from us that people are coming here from other planets.
We had Tommy Robinson on yesterday with an exclusive interview for an hour and 5 minutes. I don't know if you know who this gentleman is out of the UK, but he's been jailed 10 times. He said yesterday law enforcement has come to him 12 times, telling him that some Islamic groups, terrorist groups, want to eliminate him. There's nothing we can do to protect you, but we're giving you a warning. Like so many people in the UK, we're reading and getting reports. We see some of it online where they actually film people being arrested for putting very benign things that you and I say when we talk with each other here on this broadcast, they're saying on social media, things they're concerned about. I don't care for the Palestinian flag waving in my neighborhood, tons of them right after October 7th, or other concerns they have about Islam and rape, gang raping going on. And Tommy's kept getting thrown in jail over this. Other people, 30 people a day. And then we have guys like this. This is a video. We won't bother to play it, but when Muslims become the majority in the West in the next 40 years, non-Muslims will have to convert, pay the jizya, or be killed because Sharia will rule. And we get all kinds of imams saying these kind of things, and we play them on the air. Memory is a well-known group that tracks all this stuff. How do you feel about whether it's Governor DeSantis, Governor of Texas Abbott, declaring Muslim Brotherhood in these groups domestic terrorists, investigating them, particularly after the federal government's Holy Land Foundation trial under George W. Bush, which I think was the largest federal investigation of terrorist funding in America? Where do you come down on this as they're growing, coming in here, buying churches, converting them to mosques, and then they don't want to assimilate? They proudly say, yeah, we want Sharia.
Well, it's one of the reasons why we have to restrict not only illegal immigration, but some of the legal immigration. We have a certain, I guess you'd say, code that we all live by. We're not all Christians, but I think the way we live is to a large extent governed by Christian norms. And you look around the world, how many Muslim countries would you want to live in?
Right.
You know, pretty much none. Nevertheless, perhaps not surprising, people keep immigrating here from Muslim countries around the world. And I don't think it's necessarily a positive. We saw recently things connected to some Afghanis who came here. And I'm sure some Afghanis, they did help us in the Middle Eastern wars. But there is a lot of hostility to Christianity and hostility to America in some of these Islamic sects. And I think it would be better if some of these people wanted to move to another country, they move to another Islamic country. And of course, they don't want to do that because the Christian countries, or even the less Christian, but traditionally Christian countries like Europe, like Canada, like the United States, are much more enjoyable to live in than, say, Iraq or Afghanistan or Pakistan or these countries. And we have to be very mindful of that when we let more people in this country. I think President Trump is mindful of that. I think the rest of the world is kind of built in on this diversity is all that wonderful. Well, if they think it's all that wonderful, I think they should, spend some time finding out what it's like it's living in Pakistan or Syria or some of these other places. And I think they'd find out that maybe diversity isn't all that good.
Here you are talking on a panel, as the chairman actually, concerning healthcare costs, which I'll play just a little bit of the clip of you doing your job there in a second. But I saw another report today where Americans were walking across the border into Mexico for dental care. I don't think that's something I would do, but I guess people are going over the border to get dental care because the cost is so high in America. But you're trying to address it. I want you to tell our audience, but I want to show folks here he is, the chairman of a committee trying to address this affordability issue in healthcare. Here we go.
Welcome to this joint hearing of the Subcommittee on Economic Growth, Energy Policy, and Regulatory Affairs and the Subcommittee on Healthcare and Financial Services. This is an exciting opportunity for us to address one of the most pressing issues for Americans, the continued rising cost of healthcare.
All right, so that's what you're addressing, and I'm thankful for that because it does seem like everything's going up. Car insurance, health insurance, it's all going up. So how do we fix this?
There are a variety of things we have to do. We need to more of a market-based approach to healthcare in this country, right? And over time, we're kind of going the opposite way. Most healthcare plans are set up so the more you do, the more you make. And I think as the result, we not only are over-tested, but frequently we have even surgeries that maybe aren't that good. And I think the more it's publicized and the more we get outraged in the American public, they will insist on us doing this. Now, President Trump's doing a good job with prescription drugs. Your listener know I don't take money from the pharmaceutical industry. The cost of drugs has spiraled out of hand. And like I said, I think President Trump is going to do what he can to bring the cost of these drugs back to where they are in European countries and Canada and that sort of thing, which will be a big step in the right direction. And insofar as we get more involved in HSAs, I think people will themselves have an option to say, no, I think this test is not necessary. Or we can do things so they're more educated on the fact that costs of certain procedures vary dramatically from provider to provider. I know in Wisconsin, we have places, within 20 miles of each other in which you might be billed $18,000 for a new knee, a new hip, and we've got other places in which you might be billed $80, maybe 4 times as much for a new joint. And that's despite the fact they're doing a better job on a cheaper place. So as we get things out of here, hopefully we can reduce the cost. I've got a friend by the name of John Trinas who's got a company of about 80 employees. He does a good job for his employees of monitoring different costs from one procedure to the next. And as the result, he directs people at a place where you can save money. And hopefully as we get more and more transparency on the cost of things, that will become more common. Right now in this country, we're spending about $14,000 per person on healthcare. Can you imagine that?
No, all right. A couple more questions, Congressman. We'll let you go. We always appreciate your visiting with us. Tell me, what are you and the Republicans and the administration doing to help the American farmers? I know that's near and dear to your heart, being from Wisconsin.
we know to a degree these tariffs are hurting the farmer. And President Trump recently released, I think it was $40 billion, might have been $20 billion, from a fund that from a fund that the Department of Agriculture has to help out distressed farmers. So this is a short-term carryover, and hopefully when we're done with all the negotiating on trade with these other countries, we can get back up the amount of soybeans, say, or other products that we are sending, particularly to our Asian countries, where so much of their nutrition is imported from other countries.
I like playing clips of Congressman Grothman in action. Here he is. Here's another great clip. Watch this. We'll have him respond. This is on birthright citizenship in the 14th Amendment.
I want to point out that in the 14th Amendment, it does not say all persons born in the United States become citizens of the United States. It's all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That amendment was passed coming out of the Civil War. There's a reason it was passed coming out of the Civil War. Congress was afraid that the Democrats would try to undermine the results of that war by forbidding former slaves from voting. And clearly that's what the amendment was supposed to deal with. It did not include anybody who just happened to show up here and have a baby and moved on. Any congressman at that time, as can be seen from the debate on the floor at that time, no congressman felt that resulted in what we are now referring to as birthright citizenship. It was supposed to be limited to slaves. You were only subject to the jurisdiction thereof if you were a former slave. A person who came here from France and was just passing through, their child would not become a citizen.
Wow, that is something that's so important to be said over and over again, because American people just don't get this, do they, sir?
Well, the Democrats are doing all they can to change America. And one of the ways to do that is distort that amendment and say that if you come here and have a baby here, that baby is an American citizen. That was never the intent of the amendment. If you look at what the senators and congressmen said at that time, it was clear they never dreamed that the U.S. would adapt such a nutty idea that people would just come here and their child would automatically become a citizen. I assume the Supreme Court will eventually settle that matter. But I think in the interim, we have to do all we can to educate our American citizens so that they do not get the goofy idea that somebody can, through somebody from China here, can take a flight to California, have a baby, and that baby is a citizen. Like I said, we're already swearing in 850,000 new citizens as is. That's enough. We don't need to apologize for that number, but it shouldn't be an unlimited number like the Democrats want, because the Democrats want to permanently change America. And we know the more people we get here from China, the more people we get here from Afghanistan, what have you, you're going to change America. America's going to look more like Afghanistan, look more like Pakistan. And we don't have to have it change that way where the social mores are those of other countries.
You're doing it again. Another great idea on the House floor. I'll just show your own tweet. The House just passed my Fair and Accountable IRS Review Act with bipartisan support. Taxpayers deserve a penalty process that's fair and transparent. This bill restores the supervisor review Congress intended from day one. I'm so glad to see this because, as you know, I shared with you months ago on air about we paid our payroll tax. We tried to pay it online. The IRS system was down. Tried the second day to pay it online. IRS system was down. Accountant said, overnighted the check, and they came back and fined us for paying with a check versus online. We appealed it, and we got a letter saying, don't worry about it. We're abating that. No worry. About 2 years later, they come back and they say, we want the penalty plus interest, where we're like, wait a minute, you're going to count penalty and interest from the last 2 years that when you abated this 2 years ago, you're going to come back, reverse yourself and add on penalty. And the lady, actually, an IRS agent turned out to get it out of Milwaukee, was like, Mr. House, this is crazy. I see where your check came in. You overnighted it. This is crazy. I've never seen us reverse our own abatements. And she tried. She went to her supervisor. Her supervisor said, no, he's got to pay it. And we did. We had to hand over $50,000 because we paid our tax with a check versus online when the IRS system was down. I am so thankful to see you doing this. Tell me about it.
Well, I used to do taxes in my prior life as an attorney. And you're right, the IRS was getting a little bit out of control. It was too easy for some of these agents to get power hungry, boss people around, put penalties on there when their supervisors perhaps would not sign off on it. So as we're giving more authority back to the supervisors, hopefully it'll rein in some of these out of control penalties that were being imposed in the past. And I'm sorry if they were imposed on you. I will also point out, don't be afraid to call your congressman. You know, we sometimes get complaints with the IRS, and we help out, you know, the taxpayer who's been mistreated, or if there's a problem, even just getting a refund. So we certainly help people in the 6th Congressional District, and I assume other congressmen do as well.
Yeah. Two more. Venezuela. What do you know that you can say is going on with these narco terrorists being, eliminated in the open sea? I'm not so sure I have a problem with it. Narco terrorists are not, they're not on my list of people I am in favor of. But there seems to be a lot of controversy even among the conservative world. Is the Secretary of War in clear legal, ground here to do this?
Yes, I think he is. And let's look at the size of the problem. Okay, we all made a big deal of 9/11. What was that, like 3,500 people died? Mm-hmm. In this country, it's decreased a little bit lately, but we still have about 80,000 people dying every year because of drug overdoses. I think a lot of that is because of the family breakdown, the social breakdown. But in addition to that, some of that is caused by all these drugs coming across the border. Now, in the past, you had administrations like the Biden administration. They just wave people on through and we don't care. President Trump cares. And for the people who think we should have been getting, have to go to court before we could do something to prevent this huge volume of fentanyl coming in this country, what exactly is your alternative? I mean, we had 57,000 people die in the Vietnam War. I remember it. I remember all the protests. I remember all the young people, particularly the liberal people, wanted us out of that war now. That was 57,000 people over 13 years. Now we have 80 to 100,000 people dying every year, and people are looking to nitpick and say, oh, it was a horrible thing. We blew up one of these boats. No, it wasn't a horrible thing. They are trying to sneak fentanyl and other fatal drugs into this country, and I am all for President Trump stepping up to the plate and saying, I see fentanyl coming in this country. We're blowing up the boat. We'll see what the judges have to say about it later.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on with, but I do know, according to numerous reports we've been following for years, Russia, China, Iran, Hezbollah are all in Venezuela, right in our backyard. So, that to me is very concerning.
It's very concerning. And I think President Trump is trying to act aggressively to prevent any more of these countries to becoming the new Venezuela or the new Cuba. Latin America does not have the traditional American law-abiding culture. And so many of these countries are crooked from top to bottom. They're always going to be a problem unless President Trump steps in there. And if you see President Trump taking steps to make sure we have more favorable governments to the United States, he is doing it to save American lives. Again, one Cuba, one Venezuela is enough. We don't need any more of that stuff in this hemisphere.
I agree. Okay, closing comment or question. What have I not asked you that you're passionate about or that you're working on that you want the 6th District to know about as well as everybody else listening in?
Well, I have a bill, and there's another bill that Margie Green, who's leaving Congress, has to put an end to these sex change surgeries coming out of the transgender movement. In something that wasn't as publicized anywhere near enough it recently was determined that the percentage of people, young people in college claiming to be transgender, dropped from 6.8% to 3.6%. In other words, like a lot of us said all along, this is not a genetic thing. It's a fad. But unfortunately, some psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors have been making big money on the fad and telling young people that you should get, your body changed when you're 16 or 17 years old. I am trying to demand from Republican leadership that we get these bills to the fore. They talk about men and women's sports. That's wrong, but that may be one or two examples, 3 or 4 examples a state. I think every state has thousands of these transgenders. It's time we stop telling the young people this is okay, stand up to the psychiatrist and psychologist industry, which is encouraging more of this. So I would love to see that bill on the floor, and we'll see whether Mike Johnson can do that. By the way, the bill putting an end to these sex change operations, my bill is under age 21. I wish we could go higher.
Excellent. That's our favorite congressman right there, folks. He comes on the broadcast. We don't rehearse the questions. He doesn't know what questions are coming. He sits there, he takes them one after the other and answers us, and he comes on several times a year. I mean, wow, we appreciate you. Look, folks, follow him on X. Here's his account right here, @Rep Grothman, @Rep Grothman. You can follow him and all the different oversight committees that he's on, and education and budget. It's all there. And hopefully, he was with us in April at the Waukesha Expo Center. We had 1,000 people, standing room only. And we've invited him back to also greet the crowd, the attendees, for our 22nd annual Worldview Weekend that we're moving for the first time, our national conference. We held it in the Ozarks for 21 years. We moved it to the Mid-South for the 22nd annual. And next year, for the 23rd annual, we're moving it to Milwaukee, Wisconsin Expo Center in Waukesha. And we're hoping the congressman can join us October 23rd or 24th and greet the crowd again. Congressman?
Well, I can't wait. It's just another 10 months away, and going to be a lot of fun.
It'll be here before you know it. That's the reality of it. But you got an election coming up next year too, right?
Yep. It's something we have to go through every 2 years. So, yep. Hopefully the people in the 6th district still like me.
I think they do from what we hear. Congressman, as always, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Congressman Glenn Grothman, folks. All right, guys, that's our broadcast for tonight. Before we go, let's say goodnight to Dolly. Everybody say goodnight to your favorite studio dog, Dolly House. Dolly Delta House. She's named after her half-sister who passed away, of course. There she is. Well, let me move out of the way. There she is. You look a little tired there, Dolly. You ready for bed? Watch when I do this. She knows what I'm saying. Hey, guys, this is rehearsal. Thanks for watching. May God save America. Take care. Oh, see, she knows all that. You know all that, don't you? I'm telling you, Delta got where she knew that too. She knows that phrase. I'm just testing to see if you're awake, paying attention. That's barely. All right, you ready to go? Ready to go outside, go potty, and call it a day? It's been a long day up here in the studio, hasn't it? Huh? Oh, it is. All right. Yep. All right, guys. Hey, if you appreciate the program, thanks again for your support. Roll the music. Let's call it a night. WorldviewFoundation.com. 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 You also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail. Okay? Sunday night, part 4, Why I'm a Christian Zionist. We're going to look at the Khazar theory. Have you heard of that? The Jews in Israel are not the real Jews. And that's called the Khazar theory. I'll blow that myth out of the water. And then we're going to turn it into a book. And you don't even have to buy it. It'll be in the vault when it comes out. May God save America. Take care.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio